Happy Sunday in Greenville, North Carolina. Final week of the AAC volleyball season pits the USF Bulls and the East Carolina Pirates. 23rd all-time meeting between these two. They won 5 sets in the last matchup. A chance for an exciting volleyball today. Alongside Brittany Hoyt, I'm Evan Budrovich. While these teams are not playing for an AAC title or an NCAA tournament berth, what is the motivation for East Carolina and South Florida?
I think both of these teams, again, this third year kind of head coaching scenario, they're building a program. So I think it comes down to getting better in these final days, kind of having a big picture perspective of looking ahead. But can they get better, perseverance, learn some new things, and get some chemistry built going into spring and even next season as well?
South Florida is led by a stud outside header, Marta Svidigic. How does Marta fuel this offense?
Well, she definitely has so much leadership, and again, with international playing experience, she has a big picture. She wants to be a pro. So she brings such high level intensity every single day. Jolene told us that she just loves to work. As you can just see, she loves working those corners. She is so mature. As a junior, she has put up some big numbers for this team this year.
This was on Friday in a 5-set win over Temple. Svidigic, 7 kills, 9 digs. She was amazing when these teams last met, had 19 kills. And East Carolina counters with a young, talented player, Angela Zaldiretti. What must she do to carry her club today?
Well, she just needs to be herself, and that's what she's done all year. Just countless double-digit performance. Not her best performance on Friday night, but again, she is unfazed. And I think what that makes her so good is she has short-term memory. If the ball goes out, goes wide, it doesn't matter. She can respond so well with a big kill when this team needs it the most.
Alderetti did have 7 kills on Friday, but it was up and down, hit below 200, and UCF came into town, one of the best teams in the AAC. It was tough to stop. You sort of look at the schedule sometimes and go, hey, what games can we win? What games are going to be tough? I think this matchup, both clubs go, we have a chance to win today.
It really is. Both of these teams obviously grinded out to a 5-set or a couple weeks ago, so it's going to be a great match tonight.
And an opening kill for Amanda DeWitt. That's the 397th kill of the sophomore's career. She's out of Jupiter, Florida. 5 seniors, 4 juniors. A club in year 3 for Coach Jolene Shepherdson Patton. Her husband's on staff, Aaron. He's one of the lead assistants and an ace for the Bulls. What a huge spark of momentum on Friday night. Down 2 sets to Temple. The reverse sweep to pull out the 5-set win.
You know, and I think, too, it just shows a lot of heart with this group anytime you can grind out a big win like that. And as a head coach, what joy you can have for your program when you have a big win like that.
South Florida able to free this back in play. And that is in. A kill for Jennings Hall out of North Myrtle Beach.
You know, that right side spot has been a little bit of a question mark all year for Adler Augustine's group. So big kill for Jennings Hall, kind of starting off strong for this group on a Sunday.
East Carolina enters hitting 198 as a team. That's 6th in the AAC. South Florida feeding the middles early. Allie Barnhart, the 5th-year senior on the kill. And those middles will be important. Barnhart and Yasmin Shaw. It's a dynamic combo for South Florida.
It really is. And Jolene kind of told us earlier, that first ball, that first touch, was a great serve-receive pass. Great opportunity for the middles to get going.
Alderetti off hands and an early kill for the true freshman. She's having a heck of a year. Leads East Carolina with 436 kills this year.
Pretty impressive for a freshman. Doesn't seem like one, doesn't play like one, but wow, what a year she has had.
3.9 kills a set. That's a rocket jump serve and ace. Not the way it was drawn up, but it works for Kenzie Beckham. There's Adler Augustine in year 3, much like Jolene Shepherdson, wanting to rebuild and reload a roster. Target Cece Clausen on serve. And a nice ball to sneak through. First kill for Maria Clara Andrade. She's out of Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Great job by South Florida. They know the Pirates block is going to be big and tough. So they have to swing big, have to have big arms coming into the match today to work around that block.
Andrade, just a true freshman, had 3 kills when these teams met last October. That was a 5-set win for South Florida after ECU forced it to a 5th. And Shaw terminates. On Friday, Shaw was amazing, 16 kills, and she continues that today.
What a swing, and you got to give it great timing as well. Kind of a 2-ball for that middle. Evan, you mentioned it. She had a phenomenal match on Friday night, 16 kills. She's going on a weekend high.
Caitlin Horde in Nebraska, one of the best middles in the country, playing like that today. There's another kill for South Florida. Very good offensive start, hitting .667. That last kill was for Michaela Washington. She's out of Tallahassee, Florida. And now Tatiana Johnson in to serve. In system for the Pirates. And that's put away by Carlia Northcross.
That's one way to get a side out. What a great pass. And Northcross, the freshman. Wow, has she been a spark the last few weeks for this Pirate program?
You ask both coaches and they say, hey, at this point, our freshmen are basically sophomores with a full year of league experience.
And that's exactly what you need, especially with a third-year head coach, is get that game experience going from your freshmen. Start building this culture in this program early.
As Shaw hits one into the net. It's an ECU squad with 4 freshmen. We've noted 2 of them a bunch, Marinelli and Alderetti for this group. With injuries to grad seniors, Shea Hall and Brittany Wood, a veteran junior out. Young roster for East Carolina, and another kill for Shaw, the freshman middle.
Shaw doing a great job. I mentioned earlier that block. Northcross has got to press over. That's her second block in a row that's kind of landed on her side of the net. So a little detail, hopefully needing improvement moving forward.
That did not touch, oh, it did touch hands of the net. So a point, East Carolina. When these teams met earlier this year, boy, it was a barn burner. A 5-set match. South Florida largely out-hit ECU in that match, but the big difference was the block of the Pirates, 14 team blocks.
And that's been a strength for them all year, is their block, really been their identity, that and serving tough.
Now the bump set from Kenzie Beckham, and the first swing for Izzy Marinelli is a kill. The true freshman double figures in 10 AAC matches.
Izzy Marinelli has just gotten better all year long, and with that, I think has come mixing it up, and that's what makes her so good. We know she can leap out of the gem, but she's been mixing up her arm, and that has made her very effective.
Back row attack pays off for the Bulls. South Florida is hitting .600 in this set, and Maria Clara Andrade with the point.
Jolene told us, yesterday they did a walkthrough. That's what's tough after a 5-set match on Friday night. You can't do much the next day. And it's, a lot of rest and recovery and kind of really focusing on the mind game going into another match on Sunday.
That is called out, point South Florida. South Florida with the 5-set win broke a 4-match losing streak, needing momentum in the final week. And it's clearly out. Good call by Douglas Fagan, our head ref. By the way, Douglas Fagan, who's working headline today right next to that camera, he was telling a story about going to Krispy Kreme in Australia 30 years ago for the Olympics.
I love it.
We were wearing Krispy Kreme hats pregame. Our production crew ordered some breakfast for us. Very, very nice. Nice swing for Svitkovic. She's explosive, 6th in the AAC in kills percent.
As you can see, a great offensive set right there. The Pirates couldn't really respond to where they were going to set up their block, but great in-system set and kill for South Florida.
Here's Kelsey O'Loughlin, the Bucknell grad transfer. Won a couple of Patriot League titles in her tenure. And another kill for the Pirates, feeding the middle early. First kill for Shea Hall, who was back from a knee injury.
Yeah, East Carolina definitely missed Shea Hall when she was out for a few of those games. She has just been so good at the middle, and the biggest thing for getting the middles going, as we mentioned, is that first pass, and that's something that serve-receive has been a huge point of emphasis for Adler's club.
Hall's missed 6 AAC matches in a row, so basically 3 straight weeks. And the illegal lift on Evanstad, the setter. What is the impact of Hall back in this lineup?
Well, it's been huge, and I think for her leadership, and I think too, just her game experience, right? Again, transfer experience and whatnot, but her presence at the net has been huge, and she really is just a great team player in many aspects. It's been great having her back.
A senior capped it at the middle of the net as that one shot wide. It was the blocking presence of Hall in this first matchup. She had 6 total blocks for ECU.
And again, you mentioned that block as well. The Pirates are so good at the block, and they even had a great presence on Friday night when UCF was in as well, even getting a lot of hands and touches on balls.
Nice save by Evanstad. Yeah, 10 team blocks in that 3-set loss. Typically, when you're blocking that well, you're expecting to win sets.
Correct.
But the way South Florida hit, as that one sneaks through the block, good kill for Alderetti. Central Florida is rolling down the tracks right now.
Yes.
12 straight wins. They were dominant. And both coaches said, hey, we're not at that level yet, but we finished the year strong. We get to 6th or 7th in the league. It can help in the offseason. Shea Hall with the illegal lift. Here's Emma Santee in to serve, true freshman. She turns 19 in January, such a young prospect. Evanstad, a teed up middle, and a nice dig. There's Santee over it. Scramble play. Feeds Svitkovich, and she hits it long. Point ECU.
It's a great back row attack by Svitkovich. Back row, she is lethal. Just went a little long. Well, what another offensive threat that they have in their offense going to her back row.
Svitkovich hit .333 when these teams played in October. Is another kill for Yasmin Shaw. Yasmin didn't play due to injury until October, and ever since she's come in, a big-time threat.
What a presence she has, and she's swinging so tough. Obviously, with her length alone, it helps, but when you swing hard, swing tough, and use that block to your advantage, wow, what a weekend she has had.
It's a float serve, gets over. And Hall hits it out, point South Florida. Both teams have come back to earth. USF hitting .390, ECU with only its 2nd hitting error of the set. Alderetti hit antenna as well. So we'll take the timeout early. South Florida up 3 here in set 1. We'll have plenty more when we come back from Greenville, North Carolina. Welcome back to Greenville, gearing up here in set one. 23rd meeting between these clubs all time, and South Florida won a barn burner in 5 the last time these clubs met. Deep serve returned by Alex Singleton in the back row. And this will go out of play despite the effort of Andrade. The way Alderetti hits with so much oomph, let's just say, it's hard to return.
It really is, and Adler Augustine heard that power when he recruited her. Actually, he didn't even know who she was, but she was 13 when he first heard the power and oomph behind that ball, and what a recruit and great get she has been for this team.
Averaging 4 points a set for ECU. That's third best in the AAC. Another point there with the kill. I think of McKenna Melville, one of the best in the country. Well, Alderetti's putting on an all-conference type of year.
She really is, and if you look at them, they're not 6'2", they're not 6'4", but the power that they have, Evan, that has been so impactful for them to able push through blocks. It's been so great for each of those players.
The nation's leader in kills per set, Elizabeth Junkie, 5.5, but these two are right there with her today. Good block form by the Bulls, and it results in a point. Yasmin Shaw's been everywhere at the net.
Great expectation for Yasmin Shaw coming up on that middle and just pushed it over. Great block.
She's one of 3 Brazilians on this roster, including Andrade in the serve. Trying to follow in the footsteps of one of the greatest Brazilians ever at South Florida. Current Georgia Tech head coach. As that goes at a point. Michelle Collier at Georgia Tech's done such a great job of building that program. It was neat talking to Jolene Shepherdson about it. How do you develop international relationships? How do you expand the roster? And her playing days in Istanbul and many other places have helped fortify her international players.
And she talked about even her playing experience, and when she was a player, just having teammates international as well, as I had some in college, and you just build on those relationships, and it only takes one. And those club coaches, those relationships have maintained, and she has definitely built a very diverse roster that is impacting and helping her program. 35
players currently from Brazil in all of D1 volleyball, and 3 of them are here in Tampa as ECU gets the kill in the middle with Carlia Northcross. You think to some of the presence like Shaw, a true freshman middle who has a chance to develop into the likes of a Julia Bergman of Georgia Tech, an All-American from a year back. That's the growth process that Coach Shepherdson wants to develop overseas.
It is, and then some of these players, as they go back and play on their national teams, it's only going to help kind of spread the word about UCF and the culture and the program they're a part of, and it's only going to help bring in more recruits.
And flying in for the kill is Cvitkovic out of Croatia. So more talent across the border with this big swing.
Great approach. Cvitkovic swinging even before Shaw was able to get there and kind of close the block, if you will, and such great leap and power from that outside spot.
As a third-year head coach, Marta Cvitkovic, now a sophomore, was one of the first recruits that was landed here in South Florida. Big-time get, all conference in the AAC. Gets a hand on that shot. Nice in-system swing for Barnhart, and South Florida's up 3.
The senior doing a great job of getting a big swing over the block, getting it down again. The Pirates are phenomenal at blocking presence. You have to be creative getting and working around it.
ECU third in the conference in blocks, but their offense starting to heat up with Marinelli on the outside. That opposite pin hitter to Alderetti, that'll be important today.
Really is, and getting both of them in double-digit kills is definitely going to have to happen for them to be successful this afternoon.
You see Shea Hall, number 8, back from a knee injury. She was the all-conference middle at NCA&T last year. A presence that Adler Augustine was hoping to have all year. As we have an illegal touch on South Florida. It's a double touch. South Florida has been healthy, meanwhile, just inconsistent in play all year in conference.
You know, and that's difficult as well, and just frustrating as a head coach, but you do what you can and kind of see how the results play out.
Boy, that power slide by Barner was really good. 56 career matches for the senior.
What a play, and you know she's kind of been setting up for that all day. That is hard to stop, Evan. It's hard to block, and it's even hard to dig up, as you can just tell with that great kill.
8 combined kills from the middle for South Florida, really dominating the middle of the court. Marinelli blasts one wide, and USF is 4 points from the set. Timeout, Adler-Augustine of East Carolina. What has South Florida done to utilize its offense?
Wow, they have just been on it. Really, just the detail aspect of their pass. And that's something Jolene told us earlier. She said, our pass game has been so good in the last few weeks, and she's been so proud of the progress that her team has done. And this is what you can count on at this point of the year. Are you going to get better? Are you going to be a little bit better than you were 2 weeks ago? And wow, South Florida has really just shown how disciplined they are in their pass, and obviously their hitting percentage is great as well.
So Jolene Shepherdson is used to building programs. Think back to Cal State Bakersfield, one of her last stops. That was a 0-win team when she arrived in Bakersfield. Won 21 games. 3 years later, a trip to the NIVC. Knows how to rebuild. As a player, was really good. An All-American at D2 University at Tampa. She knows how to construct this roster and turn them into winners.
Well, she's a player's coach, and you know, as a player, that's all. The only thing you could ever dream of, right, is someone who has played professionally, and she's done that, and her husband as well, and we'll touch on him later. But this group, they want to win, and they're building a culture. She's done it before, she's doing it again, and South Florida, only the best is to come with this program and international recruits that she has as well.
Think about what she inherited, too, a program that had won just 4 AAC matches. So you look to rebuild, you look to get back to a tournament for the first time since 2002. I mean, that's not yesterday. There's a culture you have to build. It didn't happen in day one.
No, and it takes time, and that's what she's coaching. She's coaching the mind. She's getting the physicality just a little bit better in this group, and I think this team is going to continue to improve.
Jolene noted on Friday she loved the feisty nature of her team, falling behind 2 sets as Shea Hall gets the kill. Both these clubs are out of the postseason picture, right? And any bit of fight you can see with a week left could be huge for next fall.
And exactly, that's what she is seen and been so happy with, that fight and those intangibles that they're able to improve on, and it's only going to build for spring and next season.
Trying to catch up to teams like Wisconsin, the reigning national champions. Rome wasn't built in a day. It sure helps to have a freshman all-conference standout like Angela Zaldiretti. Zaldiretti now with 5 kills, make it 6 and a timeout, South Florida.
Going kind of through that block. She's so good with angles, Evan. Does a great job reaching high and swinging hard.
Adler-Augustine in the same boat, a third-year head coach. And for him, talking these last 2 weeks, how do we overcome injuries? How do we find the right lineups? Because the goal coming in was, let's finish in the top half of the league. That's still obtainable, but they have to play well today, Wednesday, and over the weekend.
Yeah, so I think what he has seen even in the last few games and going into obviously the next week and a half is kind of like a little mini season, right? So the focus, the approach, and he's been proud of his group. Obviously Friday was a tough 3-set loss to UCF, but again, the focus, the approach, what is he trying to get out of his club, finishing out this season as they can build on going into spring and next year.
Both teams right in the middle of the AAC. Now UCF and Houston have quite a run, but here's the growing process for East Carolina. Right now, 8th in the league, but he inherited a team that was dead last in the conference. They've already surpassed the win total. Now, right, that's great on paper and everything, but the results are starting to prove themselves for Adler-Augustine.
He has the right pieces, and he really is so proud of the freshmen and how they have showed out. Obviously, he got some great transfer portal experience in here as well. So he is on the correct trajectory, on the right path. As you can see, the numbers are taking care of themselves. The best is yet to come for Adler and his group.
When you carry an iPad like that with a special grip, you see that?
It's impressive. You see that?
He's able to take live notes of hitting rotations and who's placing the ball where. I love it. Good cross-court swing. Amanda DeWitt with that cut-angle shot. DeWitt's been that tertiary or third scoring for USF. 9 matches with 10 kills. And you need that as a good right side hitter to complement how well Cvitkovic can play.
And that balanced offense as well. You know, you're going to have a strong outside, so mixing it up, having great middles and right side is huge.
What a scoop. And dumped down by Hall. Already a presence back in the lineup. Shea Hall off that knee injury with a kill.
And we know it was going to be a grind out one for sure, Evan. As you can see, the race to 25, ECU hanging tight.
Both teams hitting above 300. I love this style of volleyball. And smack to the floor. There's DeWitt from the right side. 400 career kills with that swing.
As you mentioned earlier, having a third hitter is so important, and that's really what separates you from that middle of the pack to the top of the league, is having those additional balanced scoring, but those double-digit kills is huge.
An overpass on the serve. Nice save by Evanstad. And a kill for East Carolina. So Angela's already up to 7 kills. She only hit 150 on Friday, now up to 400 this first set.
Everyone's going to be on her. They know that she's the leader in kills for this program, so she has to be creative, going angles, going sharp, using the block, tooling it off. But again, after a tough go Friday, we knew she was going to be hungry and ready to go today.
In line for a first-team all-conference honoree in 2 weeks. Good dig by Beckham on the back row. Transition swing for Andrade. And a nice save by Clausen. Leads to a kill for Andrade. Set point, South Florida.
Great swing by Andrade. Doing a great job. Knowing the block is set, knowing she's the only option, the only thing she can do, swing hard and big over that block, and she did that for a kill.
Set point. Stays alive, Alderete with 8 kills.
Alderete is so good at getting a kill before she goes to serve. I can't tell you how many times she has done that this season alone before she goes back row, but great swing.
East Carolina needs a point to tie it. An ace will do it. Guess who? Alderete again. She has 10 points in this set.
And you know, when that happens, you kind of have to walk back like as though you were planned that the whole time, but she'll take that ace.
So when these teams met in October, it was a 5-set thriller that went completely different ways. USF dominated the first 2 sets, hit over 300, and then ECU came back and forced a 5th. That's sort of what this matchup's been like all time, dating back to 1972. Every time these teams play, I don't know what it is, but there's such a feisty competitive nature when USF and ECU play.
It really is, and it kind of shows the resilience of both of these teams. They both have had many 5-set matches this year, and they're gritty. Both of these teams are very gritty, and obviously South Florida was able to grind out that win in October. So today has a little bit of a chip on her shoulder, if you will, for East Carolina. Are they going to be able to respond to that tough fought loss back in October? And again, both of these teams, young, hungry, they know how to fight, and they both have it in them. So this is going to be a very exciting matchup.
Neither team had a player on the all-conference team last year. You could argue with Cvitkovic and Alderete, that may change. And then 2, the way they've played recently, picking up wins in the last 2 weeks. It's not as if these teams are dropping 8 straight to end the year. They are playing for something here down the stretch.
They really are. And I think, too, both of these teams, great head coaches, they have perspective, right? They said both of these clubs are coming out every day wanting to work hard, getting better in practice. That's all you can ask for in November of volleyball. They're playing for the love of the game and getting better, and that's all you can ask for.
So a race to 25, win by 2, which means we're in for some bonus volleyball here in set 1. And an ace for Alderete, 3 straight points.
Serving tough. That's what East Carolina needs to close this thing out.
Set point, East Carolina. USF to extend the set. Freight over. Evanstad with options. The dump is scooped out. And the slide ends set one. Carlia Northcross ends a 4-0 run.
What a great swing for Northcross, taking it away for the Pirates. ECU finishes out +2 for a big win.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Love it. Yep. That's cute.
East Carolina closes out set one on a 4-0 run. And sometimes one player just takes over. In this case, it was Angela Zaldiretti.
She had a great first set, finished with 8 kills. You can just see it was a lot of great offense, Evan, on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, Yasmin Shaw was great in the middle with 3 kills.
A lot of great blocks as well.
And that ace started the rally. This ace led to set point, and this kill ended the set.
And what a tough one there for Northcross. Go in line and win for the Pirates.
If you're a fan of offense, you came to the right place.
That's right.
Great hit percentages today. Kentucky leads the country. They're hitting 350 as a team. Just to put into perspective how good this run's been.
Wow, it was. It was a great offensive set on both sides and both teams, really. And we knew this was going to be a grind out. We knew it did. It was back in October. And obviously, South Florida had a tough grind out match on Friday night as well. So we knew both of these teams were not just going to lay down. It wasn't going to be an easy one today.
And oddly enough, that first match was like a cookout in the winter. Neither team hit over 200. It was more defensive-minded. There were double-digit blocks, 50-plus digs. It wasn't that big offensive outing.
Right.
And today, and through one set, it's been the exact opposite.
Well, and that's what's so funny, too, as a head coach, when you kind of look back and on film from the last match, it's going to be totally different. It's going to be totally different because you're going to defend what you saw before. So, again, you got to give it to the Pirates for that great first set victory.
USF, who's come from behind plenty of times before, including the reverse sweep at Temple. This is nothing new. How about this? The last 3 wins for South Florida have all been 5-setters, all in the AAC. And Alderetti smacks a missile to Clausen. Options in the middle. A little high for Shea Hall. Beckham keeps it in play, and Alderetti says, well, I'm not going to ruin myself. They're a good call by the head coach, Adler Augustin. I don't know, as a coach, do I want my player to go into the bench? Because look, there's a little bit of space here if you craft it out.
It is so tough.
And Evanstad thought about it, and coach said, let's save you for the next point.
Protect your limbs.
We need the health. Good scoop by South Florida. And off the face of Alderetti. Marinelli in this rotation, a lot of swings. She had 40 attacks on Friday night, but could not catch up to that one. A kill for South Florida. So Andrade has 5 kills today, hitting .330.
Andrade doing a great job working her angles, working those short corners and kind of like that slice shot, if you will. She's got to work around that block.
Return serve, take a swing. Marinelli gets target a ton on serve this year, and Hall with the nice rejection. Not sure if that was a mishit or a great block. It was kind of both.
Yeah, I think Barnhart just kind of tripped a little bit and a little bit of a mishit.
Now a back set dug out by Evanstad. Options for Clausen. And that goes wide. These are the rotations where coaches have 3 minutes to talk it over, make their adjustments. Makes you wonder how that hitting percentage will dip down a bit here.
Absolutely.
You've had the honors both in basketball and volleyball. When you play a team twice, those adjustments you make from one match to the next can be crucial.
It really is, and I think too, just to simplify it too, you obviously have to just control your side of the ball, and that's all that you can control. You don't want to focus too much on what was, 6 weeks ago or whatnot, but again, you've got to be smart. You have to be smart, but then creative and crafty just to mix things up and keep the other team off balance.
Good float serve by Shaw, by Santi, I should say. And Hall hits it wide. That right side presence for ECU, it's something Adler Augustin's noted all year. We need production from our right side hitters.
Yeah, it's definitely been something that he has wanted to see improvement in, and there's been a lot of great energy over there. You've had Sofia Krushko and just a lot of different bodies. Again, who can be that third option for them on that right side?
We've seen Alyssa Finister play the right side as like a middle right combo. It's been a rotating crop of bodies there for Adler Augustin. And I think the player he wanted to fill that role was Kellen Trouse, but she's been battling injuries and hasn't had the greatest of years in her final season.
Yes.
Still productive though, just finding the right pieces. Andrade hits that in to the far line. Great cut angle shot. And there's the counterpoint, right? A good right side can open up your middle and then hit this type of line shot.
It really does, and what it does is it complicates the block, right? Anytime you go right side, and as you can just see right now, South Florida, what a dominant front row they just had, and single block, great kill for South Florida.
Because South Florida runs an offense where all 6 players can swing and score. It's very international style. As that shot goes long, it challenges a block. You can't double. You really don't know where the ball's going.
And it puts pressure, as you said, on that front line because you have to commit, right? So what's difficult is they're all a threat. It puts pressure on that front line. Where's the middle going to go?
And Kelsey O'Loughlin sits there like a chess master and dishes out her pieces, her pawns. That results in a dump set for ECU.
Evanstad pulling one. Again, kind of a quick dump set, like a Juliana Askew move right there, but it works.
Just 20 kills this year on the dump. That's a rocket off of Kenzie Beckham. In transition. Nice swing for Yasmin Shaw. So in her second straight start, 16 kills Friday, 4 more today.
And what's so crazy too, again, as you mentioned, leading up to Friday, she had 12 kills all year long. So what a great way as a freshman to close out the season.
Playing more rotations in the front row these last 2 weeks, and this paid off. Already one-on-one, and she'll win that every time. 9 kills for the true freshman.
What a great response. Again, not her best performance on Friday night against the nationally ranked UCF, but responding big and tough for the freshman.
She hit 150 in that match. It was her lowest hit percentage in the AAC. Now she's at 375 today. Good hands by Marinelli there to tip the shot. She swings and terminates to the back corner. For someone who's not very tall, her block really leads to a lot of explosive swings.
It really does. Her long arms, too, can only help. And we mentioned earlier this week, Adler told us they took 2 days off. And Izzy Marinelli definitely benefited that. Her legs, her entire body just felt so much better from the rest.
Well, here we are 14 weeks into the volleyball season. It does add up. No conference tournament in the AAC, so 1 more week next week, and that's it. A nice downline swing for Sviktovic. Neither of these clubs are really in position for NIVC berths or postseason, so this is it, this week and next week. You might see a few players empty the tank offensively. North Cross is into a block. Nice hands by Barnhart. I think the real question is, will the AAC get a third bid? Will SMU, whose RPI is in the 50s, climb high enough to crack the party as that third team behind Houston and Central Florida?
Yeah, SMU is so tough, and they're playing the great Houston team today as well. And it'll be very interesting. I know we'll all be watching that NCAA party here in a few weeks, and it would be great if this conference
would be the first time ever.
Yes.
3 teams from the AAC would get in. And we've seen this year, Central Florida made it to a second round. Houston has made it to a second round. So there's potential to go farther in the tournament.
Both of those teams have the players in the right group right now to make it very far in that NCAA tournament play.
Maybe none better than McKenna Melva, who's second in the country in points. Watched her on Friday night. That was a pleasure. She had a double-double within 5 seconds as that shot goes wide.
She was very fun to watch on Friday night. Not even our best performance night by any means as well, but still over 20 kills.
And we see what Texas and Louisville did this weekend, defeating their in-conference rivals. They could be a top 2 national seed. You start playing out the pods this year with 32 ranked teams. It's not just 16 anymore, so those 2 seeds can be really good on your side of the bracket. Central Florida is right on the edge of hosting, too. And if they can get that 1, you play a 2 in-state, possibly Florida State, that's on the bubble in the mid-40s RPI.
Be great for Todd Dagenet and his group just to have that opportunity for their school, their program as well.
Marinelli with a nice block at the net. ECU's back within 1. You look at the projections right now, UCF is a national seed, but they're in a tough pod with Baylor and Colorado would be the initial matchups.
It is, and that's what's so difficult, you know, when you get those brackets early on and kind of have just a really tough first round game, second round game. But tell you what, they have the potential. They have been there before. They're a championship team, and I think they're going to compete at a high level going into the tournament.
South Florida wants to crack the tournament party. They haven't been since 2002. 7 times, though, in program history. A lot of success in the early to late 90s. As an ace keeps going for Sviktovic. I just can't believe that Louisville dominated Pitt. That was a straight set beatdown. It looked really good.
So impressive.
Louisville now in line to win the ACC. But no tournament in that conference either, just the regular season.
ACC has lots of heavy hitters as well.
Nice kill for Alderetti, who might be in line. Now, I may be speaking out of turn here, but could be in conversation for a freshman All-America honors.
She has such impressive numbers. Here she is, back row attack, working those corners, as you should from that back row. with a big swing.
Lexi Rodriguez of Nebraska last year, a national finalist. She was an All-American as a freshman. That's the last player to do it. And with Alderetti, it's 10 kills again today, hitting 400, 20 matches in double figures. Does she have what it takes to, maybe not first team, but crack that second or honorable mention All-American?
I really think so. I mean, again, you just look at her numbers alone, but she has been so steady for this team. And again, does not act like a freshman at all, but she is deserving of some accolades.
Another kill for Shea Hall in the middle. If anything for Alderetti, it's all freshman, all conference, right? And then
no doubt.
First team all AAC. McKenna Melville will be the player of the year, and that's going to be set in stone in a couple of weeks, but for her third straight season. But you're right, Alderetti has proven she could be in that first team conversation.
She has.
Good swing for Maria Clara Andrade out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. She had a double-double last week at Cincinnati. And with that kill sneaking down, she has 6. She subs out in rotation. Good serve by Johnson. Now she sets. Good save by Beckham. Alderetti offhands for the point. She's up to 11 kills. And it's systematic, too, hitting 400. What's
so great, again, is her ability to use the block in her advantage, and kind of went off Shaw's head and out of bounds. But what a great swing, again, from a bump set, a little bit of out of system, out of rhythm, but still got a kill.
Points are points, my friend. Doesn't matter how you do them. Now, unless you're Elizabeth Junkie of South Dakota, 500 points this year, best in the country. Her points are a little special as Alderetti hits it off hands. I'm still mesmerized by McKenna Melville from Friday, though. 6 points a set, and she came in the first set and had 10 kills.
You could just see, too, and even some frustration on Friday night about she had a couple errors. She didn't do as well in that second set in here on Friday night, but her ability to respond, she is just tough, and you could just tell the laser focus she had. I mean, she's a championship national player as well, but she was fun to watch.
Now this is ruled, okay, it is ruled for East Carolina. John Askew's like, wait, confirming. South Florida says, we're gonna confirm here. There was no touch. Be the head ref for me here. Okay, so there's that next hit, but. And Jolene Shepherdson, she's talking to the officials, but not challenging this yet.
What's so tough too, Evan, is every point matters. Jolene knows that. Had a 5-set match on Friday night, 5-set versus East Carolina in October as well, so every point matters.
And that point gives South Florida the lead as we take a timeout. Very competitive first set, much the same here in the second. Stick around for more AAC volleyball. South Florida winning the final point before this media timeout. And USF, they've struggled in 5-setters this year, just 2-5 as a team. East Carolina's played 7 5-set matches. These two teams have been right on the edge of pushing up in the AAC.
They really have, and I think both coaches have told us that they're almost unfazed when they start out 0-2, and it doesn't really matter. So either of these teams, they're resilient. There's a lot of fight in both of these groups, and again, a 5-set match does not bother them at all.
Another point for South Florida on the rally play. One week to go in this regular season. These two have traded wins in their last 4 meetings. As that one served into the net by Andrade. I do want to talk about our all-international team here today because South Florida has 6 international players. And you look across the country, right? Paulina Shimanova of Syracuse, first team All-ACC, really good. Julia Bergman from the same club team as a couple of the Brazilians here for South Florida,
yes.
All-American. And you combine that with some of the best. Andrea Fuentes of Wake Forest, the setter, All-ACC. It's unique the amount of international flavor that can be in a college volleyball team.
It really is, and I think it just enhances your team and your program. And again, great job for Jolene for getting that going. As we mentioned earlier, just takes one and tapping into that international presence, and it's only going to help improve this program long term, and as they're getting more teammates, more players from their national teams and programs.
Both Jolene and her husband Aaron, who's on staff, they played in Indonesia and multiple European countries, so you understand the landscape, you play overseas, you bring in that talent. It does pay off after a minute because you know, Jolene and Aaron, they're raising a family, they're raising this team, and they're also cultivating players from everywhere. I mean, you look at the roster, Argentina, Turkey, Croatia, Brazil, it's very diverse.
It is, and as I mentioned earlier, you know, they both have played professionally. What greater joy do you have as a player to know, hey, my coach played professionally, and she knows what it takes, and that's what she's done, as you can just see right here in this beautiful graphic that our team has done. Just the diversity on this team, the talent, and again, the future potential that they have of getting more players from these teams and programs as well.
And then you think about how it translates to the international game. Brazil is one of the best beach volleyball and indoor volleyball countries in the world at the international ranks. And Croatia, and I am Croatian, so I say this biasly, there's a lot of 6-footers in Croatia. I've been there myself. And to see the talent coming in with Kalkan and Cvitkovic, this program wants to emulate what Georgia Tech has done and become a top 15 national program. And to the credit of Georgia Tech, they have recruited heavily international, and now they're a national seed. They're a really good program building overseas.
Well, and I think, too, these coaches know that that's just another kind of ingredient to take your team from good to great. And as we've seen, too, you know, South Florida, even with women's basketball, has done that, and just bringing in another caveat to help their team to another level, and these international players are doing that.
ECU back up 1 in the second set. Good save by Askew. In system. And Marinelli off hands. It's been a slow start, but 4 kills now for the freshman.
Marinelli had a great night on Friday night with 11 kills, leading the team. First UCF, mixing it up, going line over that block for the kill.
An ace for Alderetti. That's her 3rd ace of the match. Her serving was big at the end of the first set. It's playing a factor now.
It's another way to apply pressure to that serve receive and get them out of rhythm. Again, South Florida has been great offensively, so they've got to put pressure on that back line to slow them down.
East Carolina entered this match 2nd in the AAC in aces, behind Houston. So serving's been a factor for Coach Adler-Augustin. Here's Cvitkovic right into the belly of Beckham. Nice save with Beckham falling to the floor. This might stay in play. Clausen scoops. That is just short. Tremendous effort by South Florida. And a timeout for Coach Jolene Shepherdson, as ECU's all of a sudden on a 6-0 run.
And again, it comes back to Angeles Alderete with her big serving presence, serving tough and really getting South Florida out of sync.
South Florida having a tough time on the road this year, but that third win was impressive. Down 2 sets, the reverse sweep, and USF the last 2 years has not won more than 4 conference matches, so even getting to this point is a step in the right direction.
Jolene's done a great job. Again, they're on the right trajectory, right? It's in your 3rd year. You're getting your recruits in at this point of the recruiting journey. So she's creating a foundation, building a culture. And I think that her staff, they have a lot of Florida recruits coming in next year as well. She was very excited about that. Some homegrown, staying in state with some state championships under their belt. And so the future is great for South Florida.
East Carolina, they're focused on the present right now, looking to bump that record on Sundays up to 5-4. Not just football on Sundays, folks. We got college volleyball too.
That's right.
And that 5-6 home record, you look at some of the conference losses at home. They've dropped a couple 5-setters, and that can be challenging as a coach. How do we overcome that and play well in our building?
And that's something that Adler has been working so hard with his group. They're resilient, they have a lot of fight, and they do not lay down.
A 6-0 run has sparked the Pirates building on a block. That's Northcross getting her hands on it.
And that's a block party on Sunday. Northcross and Trouse at the net together.
South Florida wants to stop this run, so feeding the middle, Yasmin Shaw. Her swing is so powerful and explosive.
You can just tell too with Shaw, just the confidence she has as a freshman, swinging across her body there. Again, what a great weekend she has had.
16 kills Friday, 5 more today. But struggle in the middle. Northcross again in system.
And again, another freshman on the other side. Northcross been a great spark for this team. Was playing right side when Brittany Wood went out. She's just been a great additional offensive threat to this team.
A 7-1 run for East Carolina. This goes into the rafters and took a crazy turn. I think it hit something up there. Alderete couldn't get it. Everything's in play on your side of the net. Let's see if we can track this. Oh, yeah, it took a turn. Nice work by our floor cam. That's tough. He also makes us look pretty pregame.
That's right.
And that's the hardest assignment.
A lot of filters.
Shea Hall on the tip drill is dug out. Alderete rockets one to the back row. There's O'Loughlin. Another turn. No tip, point South Florida. '21 attacks for Angeles Alderete. We're 2 sets in. Nice float serve by O'Loughlin. And that punch goes wide. Back-to-back points for the Bulls. And a timeout for ECU. What has South Florida done to inch back into this set?
Well, South Florida, again, kind of going back to Shaw. She really got things going, and really they're just capitalizing on some of the errors on East Carolina on the other side of the net. So you've got to give it to South Florida. They're hanging tough and controlling what they can control on their side of the ball.
So in the AAC in general, we know to McKenna Melville, 8-time Player of the Week. And Georgiadis of Houston's really good too. 8 digs as libero. And then with the heavy hitting matchup next week, Houston and Central Florida, that'll decide a league title when coming up. It does make you wonder, how deep can those two go in the tournament, right? Because the second round's been sort of that invisible ceiling for the AAC. Can it push forward, get to the 16s, Elite Eights, and you name it?
Well, and I think what's going to come down to is seedings, you know, and I think Todd Dagenet resorted to that to us the other day of he is studying those RPI numbers into multiple decimal points. And I think both of those coaches are just have such vision for their team and such high expectations. And I really do think that they could go to second and hopefully into that third round.
Well, since you talked about decimal points, I got it for you here. Marquette, Creighton, and UCF for, let's say, 13 through 16, the top 16 hosts, are separated by that third and fourth decimal point. So it's really tight. Creighton and Marquette do play each other next week, as does Houston and UCF. So you win those matchups, you get a little more RPI, you get some help from the teams you beat throughout the year. And it literally will come down to next Sunday to figure out who's hosting with the selection show next Sunday night. Oh, ow. Ooh, Trousey took a hit. And Marinelli is kept up. Great play by Barnhart. Izzy put some power on it, and a net violation gives ECU the point.
Great fight and finish for East Carolina. Beckham and Trouse kind of come in contact, endured through that.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I thought this was supposed to be a non-physical sport.
That's what I thought.
Non-contact.
And they're checking the scoreboard here in the substitution chart. Okay, ECU did enter properly. Options for O'Loughlin. Into the net. Good presence by Shea Hall, and it's set point ECU. Her presence back from that knee injury. The 4 kills, but clearly impressive at the net defensively.
It really has. The middle presence was just lacking there when she was out for those few weekends. So huge block, kind of solidifying her presence, making it known.
As Svitkovic extends the set. She was our player to watch coming in. Only 5 kills, and the big number is she's hitting 0 percentage-wise with a couple of errors mixed in. Set point number 2 for ECU. Evanstad, a tight set, through the block, and East Carolina secures set 2. The freshman tandem, Alderetti and Marinelli, marinating up 19 kills. The pun didn't work, but you get the point. We'll come back for set 3 when we return on ESPN+. Oh. Welcome back to Greenville. East Carolina maintaining a 2-set lead thanks to their stud freshman, Angeles Alderetti. 12 kills in the first 2 sets.
She has been so efficient, front row and back row, using that block to her advantage. She is so good at those sharp angles.
And hitting 364 as well. It's extremely efficient.
Even from the back row, and then her serve.
Her aces were huge in set 1. Kind of turned the table in set 2 as well. So 11 kills. That's the 10th time in conference play she's hit double-figure kills. It's interesting, right? Because we talked about star-studded outside hitters, and Alderetti's lived up to it, hitting 364.
She really has, and obviously we noted her at the Open, and what a great freshman year she has had. She has been so consistent for this group and has been a consistent kill for them. And it's always a great night when she's in double-digit kills.
Through 2 sets of play, in set 1 it was 340, 340. It's come back to earth a little bit, but really the big difference, and a stat doesn't even show it, but ECU's runs to end sets. 7-1 the last set, a 5-0 run to end the first set. They have finished out so strong.
And that's definitely something that's been an improvement for this group. Adler Augustine, that's something that he's really wanted them to fine tune, right? Because they've had a lot of 5-set matches, and unfortunately some of them haven't gone their way. So how do you get better? Is that side out +2, side out +2. Prevent the other team from having these long runs, and that's a tribute to his team and his program that they have improved in the last few weeks, getting better in those details.
Gearing up for set 3, and we noted on Friday, these two teams are very familiar with 5-setters. South Florida, to their credit, overcame a 2-set deficit. ECU wants to end this thing quickly and hit the road for the final time after Wednesday's match. It is crazy to think. Shea Hall right there in the middle. She's celebrating her senior day on Wednesday. Same for Allie Barnhart. Both middles are grad seniors, so this is it. We had to ask both coaches this week, okay, with COVID, like, who's really a senior?
Correct.
Who's coming back?
Well, it's so hard too, you know, with the rosters now. Not everybody, you know, updates them the correct way. So, you know, COVID senior, are they a super senior? What does that really mean?
I guess technically that'll all come to an end in like 2 years.
Yes.
When the COVID class kind of graduates out and it gets back to normal classifications.
Correct. Until then, we'll be confused.
So we start set 3. Peyton Evanstad to serve it up. South Florida has led tremendously in both sets, but unable to close. As Marinelli starts the first set with a kill. So her and Alderetti are both hitting at a ridiculous 350. It's very efficient for ECU.
They really have. They have done such a good job of swinging tough, swinging big, and what great experience they have under their belt as freshmen.
That swing goes into the net. Cvikovic has been quieted, and I'm not sure if it's a block or just an offensive mishap, but she's not been up to par today.
Well, it's tough too when you know East Carolina's block is so big. So mentally, you kind of have to kind of really push that to the side and just play your game.
Marinelli plays the overpass. And these long rallies have all gone ECU's way today.
They really have, and that's definitely something that's been a point of emphasis for Adler's group, is winning those long rallies. And that's what's going to take you to that good to great as they're trying to compete for that middle of the conference record.
That goes out off hands. USF, we noted the road struggles this year. They would love to extend this match. Take on Houston on Wednesday. That's a big one. And then Tulane, well, Thanksgiving at home, which Coach Jolene Shepherdson was really excited about. A lot of the Florida players will adopt the international kids this week and treat them to a Florida Thanksgiving.
No doubt. It's always good when you're home for Thanksgiving. I spent many, many, many Thanksgivings in hotels, eating a lot of buffet meals.
You also mentioned Vegas for a trip.
I did.
And I can never feel bad when you're in Vegas for a Thanksgiving trip, because that serve is in. That's an ace for Svikovic.
I can tell you a home-cooked meal is a little better than a casino.
Have you been to the Bellagio buffet, though, in Vegas?
I have.
The crab legs, the lobster. Oh.
We had many of Vegas buffets that week.
Another tremendous serve and a second straight ace for Svikovic. When these teams met in October, she had 5 aces and 24 kills against East Carolina. Evanstad the dump, and that's a nice way to stop a run. Peyton's had 6 double-doubles in conference play. She has some work to do on the dig side, but has now 13 assists.
She does it so well. Her and Askew both do it when that back line is on their heels when they least expect it. Such a good play.
Good overpass kill for Alderetti, and when you feed an all-conference player easy points, she'll put them away.
Alderetti doing a great job punishing that overpass with a kill.
Good save by Evanstad, but that goes over. And O'Loughlin with a nice set, terminated on the back line for Amanda DeWitt.
What a great line shot. That is so difficult from that right side. Beckham just couldn't dig it up.
Look at that swing. Yasmin Shaw found a cookie on the platter, and she put that away. And Adler Augustine said this week, we have to be better on serve receive.
They really do. That first ball has to be, you have to have discipline. It's got to get to the setter. And again, anytime like that, it just cannot happen in system.
Because don't be fooled by aces. That doesn't always tell the story. It's great returns that lead to good swings that get you points, not always the amount of aces you have.
Correct. It's that ball control and getting it to your setter to get it in system. And that's definitely something this East Carolina team is going to have to fine-tune moving forward.
Back even at 6 as Kenzie Beckham serves. Wow, that was blasted off hands. Great attack by Andrade. One of 35 Brazilians currently playing D1 volleyball. And one of the first to ever do it was Michelle Collier, who excelled at USF. Made 2 NCAA tournaments. She was a 3-time all-conference standout. And now she's the head coach at Georgia Tech.
Jolene said they both kind of have talks just about even the international presence and players as well. And they have done so well implementing and adding such diversity to their program. Great cut shot.
The middles have been really good today. I mean, Shaw and Northcross are trading points. They're each at 5 kills. Feed your middles and you're a happy camper. Johnson does the back set. And Alderetti hits it off hands into the referee pipe. Point ECU.
Alderetti using the camera and fixing her hair. I love it.
Oh, she's looking at the video
She
board.
was. She was looking at the video board and she was fixing her hair. She said, thank you for that.
As Deion Sanders says, you look good, you feel good, you play
right.
good. Johnson. Good swing by Shaw, and Yasmin Shaw, who did not play until October. She has another 7-kill match, having a great end to her season.
Really is, and it's only going to help her confidence moving forward. And as a player, that just helps you kind of build going into off season, having that taste of just success as you finish it out. Wow, what a great weekend she's had.
Back set to the back row. Each team in this third set hitting above 400. That goes over. Good save by Evanstead. The dump scooped out. Here's Alderetti. Barreled into Santee. This has to go over. Dump down. Smart play by Askew.
What a rally! Both sides with some amazing digs. But Askew with her infamous dump again with a kill. Big time.
She's done that 50 times this year.
She's mastered it.
That's the most in the AAC. As that shot goes long, no touch of the net. And when you run a 6-2, clearly different setters, different styles. It certainly helps when they can score as well.
It really does, and she's an additional offensive threat. And really with this different setters coming in, it's hard for the defense to react.
As that serve goes long. 5 big aces for East Carolina, their only first service error. That magic number is like 2-1 if you want to be elite nationally. Like the best service team in NCAA volleyball right now, that's Southern Illinois. And St. Louis right up there with them. Ooh, Trouse puts that away.
Kellen Trouse trying to finish out her senior season with a big swing.
It's like watching a player at the free throw line. Utter silence as that goes into the net.
She has a lengthy routine.
Well, you get 10 seconds in the NBA.
That's right, that's right. Dribble, 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 around your waist, around your head. Keep it interesting.
In volleyball, it's at the discretion of the ref. There's no official time limit. In. An ace for O'Loughlin. This is exactly what USF did Friday. Fall behind 2 sets, overcome a dramatic extra bonus point third, and then pull it off from there.
They really did, fought so hard, and obviously coming back at Temple does a lot for your confidence.
Great cross-court swing for DeWitt. USF closes out the road slate today, so they want to finish up strong. 4-11 in the AAC. After starting 0-4, so finding their legs here in the last month. Marinelli into the block, and Barnhart shoots it down.
South Florida definitely building some momentum with a big block. They're up by 2.
ECU. Welcome back to Greenville, North Carolina. Final week of the regular season here in college volleyball. Two teams jostling for position in the bottom third of the AAC. Although win today, you might climb up the ranks just a touch behind the likes of Cincinnati and Memphis, as Barnhart has back-to-back points. And I get it, you don't look at the standings every time you step on the court.
Correct.
But going 4-12 or 5-11, that's a big difference when you look in the offseason.
It really is, and both of these teams, there's the competition and competing is still there. They have a lot of fight, and you can see it even in the last few weeks as they've had a lot of five-setters.
O'Loughlin goes back row. Here's Beckham on the bump. That was tight to the antenna. I don't know how Marinelli kept that in play, and she gets the point.
That's the side out that East Carolina needed. South Florida was on a 5-0 scoring run. They needed to get a side out to stay in this thing.
Marinelli was inches from the antenna.
She was.
And then somehow redirected it back in. Evanstad with the overpass on the return. Alderetti keeps it up, and a point on the dump. Smart play by South Florida.
South Florida definitely has had the momentum in the last few minutes. They're just a little edgier. They're doing a great job with the details. And obviously with the lead.
Svitkovic, great ace. How much is a factor that carryover from one match to the next of learning how to bounce back?
It really does, and I think it just gives you confidence, right? Again, I said kind of earlier, starting out 0-2 doesn't matter. The fight is still there, and again, the mentality that they can still do it, that's what South Florida has.
Shea Hall able to sneak that one over the block. The heavy metal gets me rolling at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. O'Loughlin back set. She had 51 assists when these teams met in October. That is teed up to the wrong team, though. Nice kill for DeWitt.
South Florida has done a really good job of taking the setters out. They are really targeting Evanstad and Askew and really making East Carolina work offensively from a bump set, kind of out of system.
The serving's been really good, to your point, in this set. Ooh, blasted by Alderetti. She has 16.
Alderetti does a great job of kind of drawing a line in the sand. Like, this run stops now. She does that so well.
When these teams last met, Alderetti had 20 kills. But she was outdueled by Svitkovic in a 5-set thriller. Shaw is so dangerous in the middle. Tee her up right, and she'll put it down.
So great, too, as a freshman when you can kind of peak at this time. There's no greater time to be peaking as a freshman.
And hitting 500, which middles typically have higher hit percentages, but almost everything she attacks is getting put away.
Had a great match on Friday night and following it up again today.
Evanstad wants the counter. Sophie, the hottest hitter on the court. Angela's Alderetti with another 17.
She's swinging with so much power, tooling it off the block. She does it with such ease.
And in this rotation, she'll stay on the front. Multiple points.
Yes, she will.
So if you're ECU, this is the time to get on a run. We've seen it the last 2 sets, overcoming multiple set points. A chance to save this for Beckham. Has to go over. Askew does. Johnson. Shaw terminates. What
a kill from Shaw. And you can just see Emma Santi with the big set as well. Huge swing from the freshman.
I love that reaction. And it follows in the intensity of coach herself, Jolene Shepherdson, formerly Jolene Patton before she married Aaron, who's on staff. But look at these numbers. At South Florida, she transferred at the end of her career after playing at University of Tampa. D2 was really good, 3 kills a set, and then helped South Florida as a player reach their last NCAA tournament.
And again, as a player, knowing that you're playing for a coach who understands the South Florida, just kind of bleeds green, if you will, and she just knows it. She's experienced it, and as a player, to play for someone like that who's been to the NCAA, you buy in. And you want to be a part of her vision and a part of the success of this program, and that's what she's doing. She is building a new program from the ground up, and again, 3rd year, exciting things to come for Jolene.
And Jolene, as a player, was the Gatorade Florida Player of the Year, so she knows that Tampa culture so well. You know, it's fitting, right? It was a player, you come back, you went to school there, you go back, you've coached other places, and now it's like, hey, I want to build my city and make this place a better program than when I left it.
And it's exciting, too. She says she's got a lot of Florida talent coming in next year with recruits, which is only going to help fill the stadium and fill the stands and, you know, on a weekend volleyball and play. So great for Jolene and her family. And
because don't look now, but some of the heavy hitters are leaving the American.
That's right. That's right.
The door is open next year. Wink, wink. Look at the upcoming schedule. As that serve goes out. I mean, UCF, Houston, 2 heavy hitters are gone.
Correct.
Next year.
That's the top of the league.
Anyone can win it.
It is. That's the top of the league, and this league is gonna have a lot to fight for moving forward, and I think both of these coaches for sure are gonna be very hungry.
The SMU Ponies are sitting there going,
that's right.
Yes. Chance to make a run. They're an NCAA bubble team right now. Here's an overpass. That Trouse hits into the back row. ECU pulled off this exact run in sets 1 and 2, closing it out 7-1, 5-1. Can South Florida put away a set? Oh. Marinelli off hands, blocked out. That's a big point for East Carolina.
That was with almost minimal coverage over there, but they squeezed that one through.
Timeout, South Florida. If you're Jolene Shepherdson, you've been in this spot before. It's so hard to like coach your players to a win, but I know the stress she must be going through. Hey, let's finish this set.
You know, and they have it in them. Obviously, they just did it on Friday night, but it just starts with one pass, right? It just starts with a side out, getting a great first pass. Obviously, get it to Yasmin Shaw. She has had a phenomenal game so far, 9 kills. She's hitting .375, but it starts with just one pass, do the small details, and they can win this thing.
And when you think of passing, you think of elite back row players. So Cece Clausen, entering today, all-time digs leader. She's now crossed 2,000 career digs, and Michelle Collier, an All-American at USF, now the coach at Georgia Tech there with her. But what Cece's been able to do, she's a grad senior. This is it for Clausen the next 2 weeks. What a career, 2,000 plus digs. Very
historic career that she has had, and again, no better way to just kind of finish her volleyball playing career with statistics like that, and to finish strong. And again, as Jolene mentioned before, she thought that she'd be able to get it, but what a great senior year Cece has had. They'll have senior night later this week, and there's just no greater time as a player as she's finishing out her senior year.
Did you see that husband with the hat?
No.
His wife was telling something, and he like rolled his eyes, and he's like, oh, whatever. We'll get through set 3 first. And Shaw hits it off the block. And Svetkovic beats the double. Nice job out of the timeout, feeding a tremendous hitter.
South Florida done a great job of just really being tough through East Carolina's big block.
Marinelli targeted on serve. Johnson. And Cvikovic almost gets the floor. Nice save. Back set terminated. What a swing by TC Polhees at Argentina. Sorry, Argentina.
Beautiful swing from that right side. Not sure what happened with the block, but great job, South Florida.
One of 7 international players on the South Florida roster. Now Cvikovic, a little Croatian flavor, hitting it off the block. South Florida 3 points from the set.
South Florida's kind of had the momentum this whole set. Swinging big through the block. East Carolina has had a little bit of holes in there in the block, and Cvikovic was able to get it through.
Clausen with a missile. And illegal lift on ECU. East Carolina's gone to its bench. Keani Cummings checks in the middle. Redshirt junior middle blocker. And South Florida wants to close out this set. Already into the block, and Barnhart leads to set point.
That's a big block at the net. Barnhart protecting her team against a big heavy hitter.
Set point. A little confusion here. Polhees off the head of Marinelli, and we head to set 4. South Florida wants to repeat Friday night's reverse sweep. We'll come back to the 4th set when we return. So we head to a 4th set. East Carolina, South Florida. We noted the scrappy nature of these teams, and it sort of makes sense, right? South Florida has had chances to close out 2 sets. Now in the 3rd, they take care of business.
Definitely so, as you can just see from that last set. Shaw's done a great job from the middle. As you can see, killing that overpass. The freshman contributing big for South Florida. I mean, they had the momentum the whole set. Angeles Alderete holding her own for the Pirates, but Pirates could not get it done.
Very high hit percentages today, led by 9 from Shaw in the middle. Alderete has 17 kills, so it's been very one-sided for ECU and a lot more balance. 5 players with at least 7 kills for South Florida.
You know, and that was something, too, Adler alluded to when he spoke to us the other day on the phone, that there was going to have to be a lot of coaching from the sideline in this match, that they move people around a lot. They just have a very unique playing style, and again, they just have to kind of control their side of the ball. And I just felt like in that last set, East Carolina just could not respond. They couldn't get out of just stop some of the runs that South Florida had. And great job, South Florida, keeping it going offensively, hanging tight after dropping those first 2 sets.
Remember this one, 5 sets. The first time these teams met, it was almost a reverse sweep. ECU won 3 and 4 before South Florida pulled it out in bonus points in set 5. That shot out. No player for South Florida yet with 10 kills, but it has been a nice flurry of 9-8, a couple of 7s.
Well, and that was something that I really liked, too, of Friday night in their match versus Temple. DeWitt, 10 kills. Andrade, 13. Shaw, 16. The very balanced scoring, which is so good for a program.
How about that scoop by Evanstad against this balanced USF lineup? Coach Jolene Shepherdson said we have to be good defensively. Doesn't lead to a point there, but that's a good sign.
Definitely a point of emphasis for them in the last few weeks, just perfecting that serve and pass and really controlling that first ball.
UCF leads the conference in every category but digs. And we're seeing how these teams are playing like that. High offensive hit percentages. Another kill for DeWitt. 2 clubs that are blocking it well. I mean, really, it's a very good volleyball match. It's just not the teams that would have the great records to go to the tournament.
Correct. And as you mentioned, kind of UCF, and really that's that good to great, right? And just that another statistical category that is really efficient. And then that's something that both of these programs are working to improve.
Alderete's roll shot is tipped and saved by Hall. That block goes out, point South Florida. This is a USF team that has not had a winning season in 4 years, but they're starting to show signs here. This match continues. That team went to an NIVC against, guess who? Michelle Collier and Georgia Tech.
Shocker.
But the point of the story is Georgia Tech has gone from NIVC to Sweet 16, NCAA tournament. Now they're an elite top 50. You can take that jump in 3 to 4 years.
Correct. The trajectory is in the right direction, and Jolene, she sees that. She sees the vision for her team and her program, and that's where she's taking her program.
Shea Hall in the back row in this rotation, wanting more passing. Adler Augustine changing up his lineup. And that falls to the floor in front of Alex Singleton. This is a very unique lineup, and Kenzie Beckham will immediately sub back in.
Beckham, obviously a former setter as well, and has had to take on libero this year. And there's been a lot of moving and shaking this year for the Pirates, and they've done well adjusting with what they've had and what injuries and sickness have given them. And
there's a service error from Tatiana Johnson. By the way, inform me here, Brittany. How does spandex not rip all the time? These volleyball players are diving everywhere, laying out.
It's true.
And this full body spandex never separates.
It is true. It's true. I think what you don't see is they probably have 5 pairs.
Oh.
Yes, I think that when there is a hole, you don't see them anymore.
It's quickly changed out.
That's right.
Good point. Good pipe play. South Florida now up 1, and this is exactly what happened Friday at Temple. ECU will welcome Temple on Wednesday. The psychology of repeating that reverse sweep, it's hard to do. Andrade goes right into the net with that serve.
You see Adler Augustine trying to really rally his group, saying, let's go, let's go, let's go. Get that side out +2 has been his message to his group all year.
Beckham had to bump set. Little disjointed, so fine Alderetti into the back row. Here's Svikovic as off the block and out. So Marta's up to 9 kills. It was a slow start, but she has found her rhythm offensively.
She really has, and again, it just takes 1 kill. And again, working around the block, East Carolina has such a great block at the net, and you've just got to get creative. Once you get one, just helps their mental toughness and your confidence.
Marinelli splits the double. That's a nice point. She has 12 kills today. And I think what's more impressive is not all powerful points. It's good placement, good speed changing.
She does a great job of mixing it up, and everyone knows her and Alderete are those 2 big heavy hitters for this team, and she does a great job mixing it up.
3 service errors from Pirates today. 5 aces to go along that. Here's Kelsey O'Loughlin, second on the team in aces, 6 assists a set. She's a very important player for South Florida. Another ace for the Bulls.
Applying pressure on that back line. We mentioned it earlier, but South Florida is just doing some of the little things right, and they have the momentum.
And I'll take the trade from Pennsylvania to Florida any day of the week, from Bucknell to South Florida.
Oh, yes.
Especially this time of the year.
Whew.
O'Loughlin on the bump set. That goes out off the net, so point ECU. Nice serve by Evanstad, and Hall is dug up. Great effort as the swing goes into the net. Coming up tonight, a little doubleheader here today. Women's basketball. East Carolina closing out a 5-game homestand. And Brittany, you and I will be there in a couple hours.
I'll be there. Not going anywhere.
I was asking you, should we take a bite to eat? Do we walk around campus?
I know, right?
What do we do for a few minutes? Good swing by Marta Svikovic. She had double-doubles in 2 of her last 3 matches, and here she is now to serve. Her breakout effort was against ECU in that 5-set thriller. 24 kills. Marinelli's roll shot. And it's her leaping ability, I think, that sets up. It's not a greatly placed ball, but it looks the same as her power swing.
It really does, and her roll shot is just as effective as her big, heavy swing, and she has been such a big spark for this team this year.
Barnhart on the slide, goes off the block. Nice job splitting the middle. Alderetti up to 18 kills.
Alex Singleton with the great pass. And Angeles Alderete just splitting the block.
Try to slide again and a block. Front row presence for East Carolina. Shea Hall.
It's a block party. That's definitely East Carolina's identity, relying on their block.
Timeout, South Florida. We'll take the timeout. In set 4, the blocking of the Pirates has them up 3. Welcome back to Greenville, North Carolina. ECU looking to close out this match in 4 sets. O'Loughlin in transition. Mr. Target. Oh, actually, I believe a net violation's called here. And a challenge from Adler Augustin. Okay, I want to verify what Adler's challenging here. Now, with the rules of college volleyball, you can challenge multiple things at one time. Okay, no net touch there.
Oh,
okay.
Shea Hall, yeah.
Let's see. When does she touch the net, though?
Right on that back set.
So it'll be right here. Yep. And you see the explanation. Her arms coming up, swinging into the net. Now, your hair is allowed to touch the net incidentally, but your body cannot.
That's right.
There's been plenty of instances where your hair whips the net and it's fine, but when you actively go into it.
Correct.
So a missed opportunity for Shea Hall. And South Florida back to serve. Evanstad, tough look, and she found her. One of the rare back row swings for Marta Cvitkovic. Jennings Hall off the block and a nice save. Overpass. Wow, blasted, and it goes over. Here's Alderetti. Now the downline swing for the point. 19 kills.
With a great long rally and a finale of a kill for Alderete. Great control. It's so easy at that point too when you're so eager to get a kill, but great control, keeping it in, and point.
With great rallies come great responsibility. Nice back row swing. Maria Clara Andrade with another kill.
And another person with double-digit kills for South Florida. They have such balanced scoring, Evan. 10 kills. 10 kills for Cvitkovic. 11 for DeWitt. I mean, they're so good in that front line.
Nice serve by Johnson. Good save. ECU in transition. Alderetti off the antenna, and South Florida's back within 1. And our Marshall camera's okay.
Very important. Kind of reached a little far. Ran into the rough stand.
And then Douglas Fagan had to hold on for
Yes.
dear life. Much better swing that time on the cut shot.
Big swing again for Alderete. Again, just a great job. Has an error, responds with a kill.
How's the popcorn today?
Some alumni as well in the building. Some former East Carolina volleyball players in the stands today.
Nice job on the slide. Double-figure kills for Yasmin Shaw. She becomes the 4th player for South Florida with at least 10.
so great for the freshman. Starting her career, finishing that freshman year out strong. Nothing greater.
Coming into this week, 12 kills all season. Now 26 in the last 2 matches.
It's amazing.
Alderetti, down line, and good position defensively for Santi, but she couldn't dig it up. So for the 10th time in her career, 20 kills for Alderetti.
She finds a way, even when the block is present. She split them.
That block goes out off of Kiani Cummings. The later this match goes, who's going to put it away for either team? Can South Florida push it to 5?
I know both of these teams have so much resiliency, and they've learned a lot of perseverance this year, just with a lot of really close contests.
A missile off of Cummings. We mentioned Clausen, 2,000 digs. He adds another. Here's Marinelli. Pump set. Beckham, great return. Leads to an off-balance kill for Marinelli.
Marinelli with her big reach, kind of hit it off speed a little bit, not even on purpose, but she found a way. That's right.
Not her intended swing, but it works.
That's right.
Svikovic now swings. Nice shot, punched up by Alderetti. Offhands it in for the point. TC Polhees has had 2 big swings today.
Jolene's group again. The balance offense, they have a young team. Yes, they have some seniors as well that they will be losing in the next few weeks. But
11 underclassmen.
Yes.
And then a senior here in Kelsey O'Loughlin to serve. That is great in-system volleyball. Kept up and frayed over by Clausen. Trows off balance, gets the kill cross court, putting ECU up 2.
Great cut shot from Trows. Working those angles. It's difficult from that right side. Been a question of consistency for East Carolina, but Trows with a big kill at a very pivotal time.
That's her 6th kill, 2 hitting, 450. Breakout effort for the senior. Boy, that was put away with ease. Nice shot in the middle.
Big swing from DeWitt. Evans, she's hitting 500, as you can see.
Boy, that quick wrist and puts it away.
Just great footwork all around.
Svikovic, a great serve. Late in set 4. DeWitt's dug out. And now a flurry of joust at the net. Marinelli down line for the point. She has 15 kills.
Marinelli has such length. As you can see, she really puts a lot of pressure on that back line. That was either going to hit that back line of defense, either in the chest, and obviously couldn't get that dig up, but she has a lot of power at her size.
Tight set. Good dig by Beckham. She's been big in this set. Evanstad needs some help on this set. Clausen tees it up. The block is firm. Hall and Alderetti combined for the roof. And in the first matchup, it was 14 ECU blocks. Another example today. leading to a timeout. Final week of AAC volleyball, Brittany, and of course we're looking at UCF and Houston, right? That's the big one, but you do wonder as the day goes on. Here's some of the scores today. Okay, we expect that. Central Florida dominant. That SMU-Houston match, that has a lot of tournament implications.
And I think that's going to be a really interesting match as well. SMU can put a lot of pressure on Houston. I really believe it. First-year head coach there as well, and she's done a great job with her group. They hit the transfer portal pretty heavy. And again, but Houston has been so steady, winning 18 in a row, I believe.
Looking for 19 now with that win today. Cincinnati, Wichita State, that could be a 5-set thriller. Cincinnati's led by the former freshman of the year, Abby Walker, who's now a sophomore middle. And if you had my vote today, I think Angela Zaldiretti is the freshman of the year in the AAC. But that's today.
That's
it
right.
could change in a week. I'm open to persuasion in the voting department. I think Kylie Cassidy of Tulsa.
Yes, she's had a great year.
Hey, can I compete for AAC Player of the Year? I know Melville's going to win it, but
No doubt.
they're right there with her.
Getting a lot of swings, been very efficient for her team as well.
And there's our infamous husband who rolled his eyes earlier. He looks more pleased here in the fourth set. Great dig by Beckham. She's been everywhere today. An equally nice play by Clausen. Krushko fights it over. Lachlan, the loft balance. Alderetti blasts one to the floor. 22 kills.
There was a lot of great defense from Beckham and Singleton getting some big digs. But Alderete with that big kill.
Nice dump. That's down. If you're South Florida here, this next race to the next 5 points could really determine this match.
I'll tell you what, they have done it before. I know they don't fear situations like this. It can be done.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
That's right.
Krushko with the kill. ECU 5 points from the match. Sophia Krushko, she did not play in the last meeting, has been in and out of the lineup. Last time she appeared was October 23rd against SMU. Nice save by Alderetti, and it's punched over. Hall off her head. Good defense by the Pirates. Leads to a kill. Backside swing for DeWitt. She has 13.
South Florida is really putting the pressure on East Carolina. East Carolina have come up with some big-time digs, but DeWitt putting it away for her club as they are sticking close, Evan.
DeWitt's career high is 18 kills against Memphis just a couple of weeks back. Here she is on the service line. Evan Stab with options. Krushko dug out. What a play. Into the net. Point ECU.
Great dig. And again, Krushko with her hands, keeping it back in play on the other side of the net.
Gianna Askew in to serve. 4 points from a 4-set win. And an ace for East Carolina, their 6th of the day.
She is so good at that floater serve. It's so difficult to read in that back line.
Deep swing, barrels in to Alex Singleton. Nice point. Andrade needed that one. And now she heads to the service line. You couldn't tell me these teams are playing for 7th or 8th place.
Correct.
It looks like a heavy-hitting battle here in the AAC. Already tight to the net. Forces the ball out. Smart play by the freshman.
Great job tooling it off the block. Kind of getting that kill before she goes back to the service line. Let's see if she can finish it out like she did in that first set.
2 points from the match. O'Loughlin goes back row. Askew there to save it. Long set. Blocked! That's the setter Evanstad match point.
What a block! And you can just see the excitement on Evanstad's face. A single block from the setter.
Match point. USF stays alive. Svikovich with her 11th kill. South Florida 1-5 down in Tampa. Now ECU with match point. The match continues on an ace. The resilience of the Bulls, impressive.
They're hanging tough for sure, fighting for every single point, Evan, making East Carolina earn it.
Clausen to serve for the match. Nice dig, Clausen. Tight angle in. Marinelli blocked. That's Barnhart to extend the match. Timeout, East Carolina.
What a block from Barnhart, protecting her side of the net.
The resilience of South Florida, 3 straight match points.
Wow.
Wiped away. And this run is exactly what they did on Friday. Down 2 sets. You win the 3rd, you win the 4th late, and you go to the 5th and pull it out. Give a ton of credit to this family of USF volleyball. Jolene and Aaron Shepherdson, both on the coaching staff, 5 kids running around all over the place playing sports, and here they are on the road working together.
So fun. Obviously, she and her husband both played professionally. They have so much professional experience, and again, leading a team at home and on the court as well. She said her kids come to all the home games, and she couldn't do it without her mom.
Yeah, her mom lives at home with the family when they're running around.
Holding the fort down as she's on the road every other weekend. But what's so great, again, having some of those in-state recruits, make some of that recruiting trips a little more doable.
And 5 kids with the first name M.
Oh, I love it.
I forgot to ask her about that.
Yes,
but I love it.
Yes.
And you see all 5 of the kids there cluttered around in the family picture. Their oldest is 10.
She joked that when she would go recruiting, she was either pregnant or had a baby. Now it's a little more difficult. I think they're a little more opinionated as they get older.
Match point. Marinelli. And ends it. That's ruled in, and East Carolina, led by 2 dominant freshmen, Alderete and Marinelli, and the match in 4.
And those 2 freshmen have done a great job just playing their volleyball game. 23 kills for Alderete, 15 for Marinelli. What a great comeback victory for the East Carolina Pirates.
ECU improves to 6-12 in the AAC. South Florida falls to 4-12. And I tell you what, the dominant play by Alderete and Marinelli, clearly USF balanced, but the top 2 for ECU made all the difference.
They really did, and they were so disciplined in so many little areas, and hats off to East Carolina just for finishing out this weekend strong.
For Brittany Hoyt, I'm Evan Budrovich. Thank you for joining us tonight in Greenville. What a battle in 4 sets, nearly went 5, but East Carolina earns a 6th win in the AAC. We'll see you on Wednesday for the final home match for the Pirates this year, but for us today, we say good night.